you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. And we have a story here from, of all places, the National Review. I know none of the women out there, and many of the younger men don't ever read the National Review, so as a matter of fact, I generally don't read it myself, but I do read the website that linked to the article, which was cbsnews.com. They linked through to this piece, written by someone named Carrie Leykis, who was the vice president for policy and economics at something called the Independent Women's Forum. Here's what she wrote. Imagine a luxury liner sinking into Arctic waters with too few lifeboats for its passengers. Who would get those seats? When the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, the answer was obvious. Women and children had first priority. Why was this? Certainly the male passengers could have overpowered most of the women and saved their own lives. What kept them from doing so? Chivalry. The idea that part of being a man, and certainly part of being a gentleman, is to sacrifice willingly to protect those who are more vulnerable. Of course, all those aboard the Titanic were equally vulnerable to the near-freezing water. The man who gave their seats in the lifeboats gave their lives. I'm sorry, the men who gave their seats in the lifeboats gave their lives. Out of all the Titanic's passengers, 74% of women lived while 80% of the men died. Christina Hoff Sommers began her review of Harvey Mansfield's new book, which is called Manliness, by reminding readers of the memorial erected by women in 1931 to honor those men on the Titanic. The memorial's inscription reads, "To the brave men who perished in the wreck of the Titanic, they gave their lives that women and children might be saved." As Summers suggests, this overlooked memorial is a fitting symbol of the state of chivalry or even of manliness today. Almost no one remembers those men. Women no longer bring flowers to the statue on April 15th to honor their chivalry, which is probably a good reason not to ever do that again. The idea of male gallantry makes many women nervous, suggesting as it does that women require special protection. It implies these sexes are objectively different. It tells us that some things are best left to men. Gallantry is a virtue that dare not speak its name. All too often, women no longer honor chivalry, and men no longer give up their seats. I refer not to men confronted with the life or death decisions like those on the Titanic, but those on subway and bus systems around the globe. On a website for New York City transit complaints, a woman tells her story. She said, "In the past 2 weeks, I have been practically knocked down so that a man could get a seat ahead of me. And just yesterday, I was literally knocked on my butt. The man who did this didn't even say sorry. He just looked at me, closed his eyes, and went to sleep." What happened to manners? I mean, not only am I a woman, but I am also pregnant. I may not be noticeably pregnant, but to knock a woman over like that for a seat? That's the woman complaining on the New York City Transit Authority website. Boo-hoo-hoo. We're all feeling very sorry for you. The story goes on. In England, men defend their lack of chivalry as a natural consequence of women having equal rights. Paul Anderson a married 38-year-old librarian, complained on the BBC website that women were adopting, quote, an a la carte approach to women's rights and civil equality. On his busy daily commute, a woman harangued him for not doing, quote, the gentlemanly thing. My response, said Paul Anderson, you're joking, aren't you? What? You want my seat and the right to vote? Forget it. Can I be alone in finding this hypocrisy astonishing? Why should I give up my seat to someone solely on account of their gender? Have these women never heard of the suffragettes? Do the phrases women's liberation and sexual equality mean anything to these women? By the way, he makes the most sense of anything we've read so far here. Says here that the author has adopted the feminist attitude that for women to be equal with men, they must also be the same. But women who are free to vote and pursue any profession are still women, not men, says the author of this piece, Carrie Lucas. She says gentlemanly conduct isn't about women at all. It's about men and their sense of themselves. Paul Anderson continues to say that he would give up his seat to someone truly in need, such as the elderly, pregnant women, and the disabled. But that's not gentlemanly. That's just humane, says the author. A man giving up his seat to a woman who he knows is equally capable of standing on her own is different. It's a gesture that doesn't, as some feminists suggest, imply that women are weak. It's a simple show of respect. Respect not just for the woman, but also for himself. It shows that this man believes himself to be a gentleman and holds himself to high standards. Those standards are more important than enjoying the comfort of a seat on his morning commute. Resurrecting chivalry begins by remembering why it's important. Chivalry is part of a civil world. Women should welcome gentlemanly gestures and graciously accept them with a thank you. She finally says, I'll start by thanking the men of the Titanic who 96 years ago gave up their seats so that women could live. It's Carrie Lucas. Now, of course, I totally, 100% disagree with Ms. Lucas. And I totally agree with Mr. Paul Anderson, the guy who was quoted in her piece. Women wanted to be considered equal. And you know what? I, as America's original feminist, I agree. I consider women equally. So if I'm in a city with a subway or a bus system, like New York or Chicago, I happen to be in Boston, if I'm on the BART train in San Francisco, whatever, the minute a seat opens up, I'm pouncing on it. I really don't care who else is standing around, I'm going for it. Now, granted, if somebody with one leg is standing there with a pair of crutches, trying to balance themselves on the train like a tripod, you know what? I'll give them a seat, no matter what their gender. But other than that, your problems are not my problems. I pay the same amount to get on the train or the bus that you do. And I am not going to let you have a seat. It's outrageous, the idea that I should give up a seat to be a quote-unquote gentleman. The concept of a gentleman is outmoded. Women have the right to vote. They have an equal right to employment. They have a right to equal pay for equal work. I do not owe them anything. I have an equal right to sit down. And it's finders keepers, losers weepers, dear. So if I see an open seat, I'm pouncing on it and you can't have it. And I'm not getting up. I don't care how much you stare at me or glare at me. I'm not getting up and giving it to you. Chivalry is dead for a reason. Women wanted equality. All right, girls. Poof, you're equal.
Tom Leykis, 1-800-5800-866.
I think you're very general.
Of course I'm very general, because we're broadcasting.
Okay,
that doesn't mean we're just talking to broads. That means we're talking to a broad audience.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Patty.
Hello?
Is that a question or a statement?
I have a statement. I just think your attitude with all of this is very sad.
Why?
Because I would give up my seat to, regardless of gender, to anyone just to be a courteous, nice person.
Well, that's not what this person is talking about. The person in the article is talking about giving a man giving up a seat to a woman automatically. Just say, oh, here, sit down.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm talking about the statements that you just made, saying that if a seat comes open, you're going to run and take it first. Finders, keepers, losers, sweet.
That's right. I'm taking it. And I also said, though, that if I saw someone who was disabled and they were having a hard time standing up or holding on, I would offer it to them.
Why not be a nice
But that's about it.
Anyone. I'm not saying women. I'm saying to anyone.
Because your problems are not my problems.
My comment was simply that it's a horrible attitude to have.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, but you know what? Everybody's been fighting for equality. They've got it, and I've got the equal right to sit in that seat.
Of course you do. I'm talking about basic just kindness. I'm not talking about who has the right to what. We all have a right to that seat.
I will pick and choose to whom I am kind, and the people to whom I am kind.
Well, that's a bad attitude. I personally think that's a bad attitude.
You're entitled to your opinion of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that's all you have to say, apparently. 1-800-5800-TOM. Let's say hello here to Adolfo on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Adolfo.
Yeah, I just want to say I want to agree with you, and I would not let anybody sit where I'm sitting just because they're female. And if they're pregnant, especially in Los Angeles, it's just that, it's like just because they're pregnant doesn't mean that they deserve to sit down. It was their choice.
Well, just like the woman that was quoted in this article. The woman who said she's hardly showing. Well, guess what? What entitles you to the seat?
Yeah, if I'm going to give up my seat is to a hot chick that I want to bang.
And by the way, girls, if you're in good enough shape to go to work and work an 8-hour day, you're in good enough shape to stand up on the bus.
There's they provide parking signs for elderly and handicapped people, but see, why don't they provide signs for pregnant ladies?
Well, some malls do, but they do not have the force of law.
Exactly. So they don't deserve any special.
Well, I recommend that my boys park in those spaces. If that's the only space you see, jump right in.
Exactly. All right, love you, Tom. Take me out Kobe Bryant style.
Kobe Bryant style. Here you go.
This is about us. She's so special to me. Yeah, it beats in my heart. Yeah, the air I breathe. She's so special to me.
1-800-5800-TOM. Clarissa on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Do you care, Clarissa?
Yes, I do.
Doing great.
Good. I have to tell you that I agree with you 100%. I know that I'm a woman and all, but I think that all women do is bitch and whine about anything, and this is just one more thing for them to whine about. They wanted equality from the beginning. That's exactly what they got. But now that they're seeing it as gentlemanly, we're not gentlemanly, and it's all about if you're there, you're there, and if you're not, I'm not giving up my seat either. And as a man, I don't think you should have to.
No, and I'm not going to, and I can't believe a woman wrote this. You know what? If you want chivalry, then give up your right to a job, too, okay?
You can believe that a woman wrote that, because that's exactly how women are.
Women want all the benefits of liberation and equality, but none of the responsibilities. They still want to be treated like they are delicate or somehow special or better than the rest of us.
Exactly, but don't pay them what you pay a man to do the same job, and it's going to be hell.
Right.
I agree with you 100%, Tom.
Thank you, Clarissa.
Can you take me out with a bong hit?
Here you go. Richard on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, what's up, man? You are so right. Oh, man, the world today, chivalry is gone because women killed it.
Women did kill it.
Yes, sir. Man, you know, they constantly complain about, you know, how they're treated and whatnot. Well, you know what? You wanted to be in a man's world. Welcome to a man's world. We do nothing but fight for our rights. You know, they can't fight for theirs. They got to bitch and whine about it.
Guess what? If it's equality, then everybody is equally capable of sitting or standing.
I totally agree with you. You know, and all they want to do is be pampered. They, you know, they want their cake and they want to eat it too.
Right. I refuse to give women any special treatment.
I hear that. You know, they want equality. They want equal rights. Well, guess what? You know, it comes with it.
I'm giving them total equality.
Yep.
And while they're at it, if they want to pick me up for the date and pay for dinner, I'm down with that too.
Hey, there you go. You know, and half of them don't even want to do that. And the guy that was just on, you know, talked about he'd offer his seat to a hot chick. I wouldn't offer my seat. I'd offer my lap.
Todd on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Todd.
Okay, I grew up in the Bay Area, so when you said the thing about Bart, I'm a 6'6" guy. And here's the deal. I went to a seat. This girl my age range was a little behind me. And I sat down. And she's like, "Oh, that's really nice. You're a real gentleman." And I went, Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I looked at her and I was offset, and then I got dirty looks by people, and I went, "What?" And it's people who give dirty looks. That's why people don't do that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. By the way, while we're talking about San Francisco, what about a transgendered individual? If someone used to be a man,
yeah,
but is now a woman,
yeah,
should we get up and give them a seat?
Here's the deal.
Or should they get up for women who are born women? I wonder how that works.
Well, I think it's like what someone else said. If it's male, female, or a tranny, hey, if you got there like a microsecond before me, it's cool. It's cool. Sit down. I'm not going to stress out about it. But I'm not going to fight over it and then, like, if it's a chick, just, oh, I have to give it up to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Robin on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Robin.
Oh, I love you, baby.
Ooh.
I agree with you so much. And you know what? Women ruined it for themselves, and they only have themselves to blame.
That's right.
Because I don't know how many women I've heard, if you want to flip the subject, oh, I don't need a man to open the door for me.
That's right.
I don't need this. I don't need that. Well, you know what? You don't have it now.
That's right.
Get over yourself.
We have total equality now. Enjoy it, girls.
That's right. It's ridiculous. And, you know, they have attitude about it, and then they have attitude about it the other way. So
that's right.
Guess what? You get nothing now.
Exactly. It's Dave on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Good. How you doing today, Tom?
Doing okay, Dave.
Hey, I used to be the guy who'd open the door for women and all that kind of stuff too. But once they started making the same amount of money as me and more, I agree with you. It's out the door. But hey, I'm wondering how you feel about like the elderly. Would you give a receipt for an elderly couple?
Not necessarily. No.
No, they did their time and. No,
but you know what? We're all doing it. We're all doing our time here, and again, they got a discount to get on the bus or the subway in the first place.
Yeah.
Then I should give them a seat too. I have already subsidized their ride. I think I've done enough.
All right, that's curious.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Richard on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Richard.
How's it going?
Great.
Great. One thing I was commenting on was the fact that ever since the women's rights movement and they wanted equality, this is the best way for them to prove that they're equal.
That and paying for dinner.
I'm sorry?
That and buying us dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but let's see some equality. By the way, girls, while you're showing how equal you are, why don't you go down and register for the draft, too?
That's what I'm saying. I've been wondering about that. If, there was a draft today, is it still on the books that it's men only?
Yes.
That is crap.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not right. But, whatever. They're not going to win no matter what. It's always going to be a constant battle.
Yeah, well, no doubt about it, but I'm standing up for the feminist side. I believe in full equality. Full equality. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Patrick on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Great.
Hey, Tom. I really like your show, and you have a lot of great things to say, but I don't quite understand. You kind of come from like a bitter, wounded, powerless, injured place.
Why do you assume that?
Well, it's
because I'm asserting my rights?
No, because you have a negative outlook, and you.
But the others don't have a negative outlook. They have a very positive outlook. People who have a sense of entitlement and believe that some of us should give in and give them rights that we shouldn't have. Those people are powerful and positive.
Okay, I don't know who you're talking about. I'm just talking about
women. I'm talking about women, like the woman who wrote this column.
Well, okay. Well, they don't affect me. Like, I don't, I can care less about them, but you have this, like, vindictive act.
Nothing vindictive about it. Go on. Sitting on the seat that I paid for on the bus, that's vindictive?
I don't know.
That's vindictive. Is that vindictive? How about when I buy a plane ticket? If I sit in my seat, is that also vindictive?
Hey, Tom, realistically...
I went to a Laker game over the weekend. When I sat in my seat, was that vindictive? Should I have stood up and given it to a chick who snuck in the front door and didn't pay to get in?
Again, I like you, but you're kind of getting pissed off at nothing.
All right, well, you keep repeating the same stuff over and over, and really all you want to do is a critique of the program. Angel on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Angel.
How's it going?
Okay.
Well, check this out. One time I was at work. We had a full department meeting, and I was one of the first guys into the room among everybody, and so I take my seat. All the girls come in, they take their seats, and all the guys get up for them. And I looked at them like, what the hell are you doing, So they all start giving me dirty looks, just like the caller before said, like I should get up. And I was like, no way, I'm going to sit down. This is a long meeting. I'm not getting up for anybody. I got here first, and I stood my ground on that.
Good for you. That's like the women in the office who want you to pick up the heavy objects. You have a water cooler in the office that runs out of water? Ever have a chick come up to you and go, can you change the water?
Oh, yeah, not only that, they bring the big boxes full of paper so they could stock their printer up.
Right.
Oh, man, that kills me.
Always say no.
Yeah.
Always say no.
That's how you got to do it.
Yeah, guess what? You want equal pay, girls? You lift the heavy objects.
You pick that up, exactly.
Damn straight.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866.
After you bang all night, who wants to get up out of bed and go home?
Me. That's exactly what I want to do.
The Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show. At 1-800-5800-TOM. Oh, yes, a woman writes, whatever happened to chivalry? It went out the door when you burned your bra, darling. Jill in River Grove, Illinois, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, Jill.
I just have a comment about this.
Yes.
If a guy wants to get oral from me, I think he needs to take me out to dinner and hold the door open.
Well, see, now again, if a woman was about to give me oral or anything else, she might get different treatment from the complete stranger who just thinks she's all that and deserves some kind of special treatment.
Okay, but I thought we were talking about relationships also.
Well, it's two different issues, but we can talk about both of them.
Okay.
Personally, I try as much as possible, as I advise my boys, I try to avoid buying dinner for women at all. For any number of reasons. The cost factor, the possibility they won't put out, and the fact that when you sit over dinner with a woman and you have to listen to her talk and she listens to us talk, the possibility exists that we will say something that will give her a reason not to have sex with us.
Right, but you have better odds if you do pay for the meal.
You know what? Only with some women. You have to understand, younger women today are into the hookup. They are into hooking up. And for every woman like you who says, if you don't buy me dinner, I'm not going to do anything, there are just as many women down the block who are willing to do it for free.
Okay.
Just so you know, you're competing with those women. All the women on MySpace who have semi-naked pictures of themselves and stuff, that's what you're competing with.
Right.
All right. So just remember, every time you turn a guy down, believe me, he just goes to the next phone number in his trio and dials up the next victim.
Then he's not worth it to me anyway.
Well, there you go. Now, obviously, you're looking for like a relationship or something.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah. Well, most guys are looking for a relationship for a night, as you know.
Yes.
All right, dear.
Okay, goodbye.
By the way, now Dean wanted to know if you would give oral for Taco Bell. Does it have to be a really nice place?
During the day, not an evening.
What do you mean?
If it's like a Saturday instead of a Saturday evening.
Taco Bell be okay during the day.
Right.
But in the evening, what would it have to be? Give us an example.
It'd have to be like the Rosebud.
The Rosebud?
Yes.
That's more money than I would want to spend.
Well, it's pretty good.
But it wouldn't have to be the pump room or anything, would it?
No.
All right. What do you get for the pump room? Couple of pumps?
Couple.
Is that what they call it, the pump room?
Yeah, I guess so. I've never been there.
The hump and pump room. You could rename it. I mean, I tell you what, if I take a woman to the pump room, it's going to be the pump room all night. You know what I'm talking about?
Hump and pump, huh?
That's right.
Okay, Tom.
All right, dear.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Well, at least it doesn't have to be the pump room. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Jeff on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, Jeff.
I got a story for you, man, and
yes.
You're going to love this one.
Really?
Yes. I'm in Hollywood the other night. I'm at Jones Bar, and I get my cocktail, I get my Captain and Coke, and I sit down. I find a rare opportunity for a seat in the Hollywood Club, and I take my seat, and no more than 30 seconds later, a girl approaches me, and she's a 6, and she says to me, she leans down and she goes, excuse me, you're sitting in my seat. And I take a moment, and because I'm a gentleman by trade, I say, you know what, you're right, here you go. I get up, and I give her my seat. And no more than 30 seconds later, her other girlfriend comes over. They start giggling and laughing, and she says, did that guy just give you a seat? She goes, yeah, I totally lied to him. And they start giggling their asses off.
There you go.
So how about that for chivalry, Tom?
By the way, my attitude at bars, unless I see your drink with a napkin over it, when it's empty,
yep,
that's my seat.
I love it, baby.
I'm jumping right in.
Hey, Tom, can you do me a huge favor?
What's that, Jeff?
Can you take me out Kobe style?
Here you go.
This is about us. She's so special to me. Yeah, it beats in my heart. Yeah, the air I breathe. She's so special to me.
1-800-5800-TOM. It's Jason on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing great.
All right. Basically, 2 years ago, I got an infection in my leg, and it resulted in my right leg getting amputated right below the knee. And after I got fit with my prosthetic device, I had to take public transportation to get to work while I was getting used to it and everything. And I was trying to man it up and stand up, and there was a seat available right in front of me. I turned around and sat down. There was a lady standing right behind me, and she stepped up to me. And she basically called me an a-hole for taking the seat. So I just sat there, and I kind of looked at her, because I don't know, you lose a part of your body. You try to keep a little bit of your pride, and I wasn't ready to kind of disclose all that information. But she got so irate that she ends up stepping on my foot. Well, she takes it as she steps on my foot with the prosthetic leg, that I'm trying to be really tough and act like it didn't bother me. So then she proceeds to kick me in the shin. Well, after that, she realized that my leg was artificial. And I thought, well, that's really going to teach her a lesson. And she looked at me and she goes, you know what? I really don't care about your leg. You're a man, and that's still my seat.
Unbelievable.
I was blown away, Tom. I was sitting there going, this has got to put her in her place. And, of course, everyone else on the bus at the time was, they realized, and they were kind of in shock, but she stood her ground, and she said that to my face.
What a bitch!
No kidding. There's no other word for it. All right, thanks, Tom. Blow me up.
Here you go, Jason. Damn. She is a bitch. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Tracy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how are you doing?
Great.
Oh, I'm a first-time caller, and I'm a brand-new listener, and I'm trying to figure out, what are you about?
What are you trying to figure out?
I'm trying to figure out, do you not like women? Do you bash women?
I love women.
I don't understand what
preferably being right between their legs. What?
What is Tom Leykis? I'm trying to figure out.
What am I?
You're hilarious.
Well, thank you very much. I'm a professional.
And I can't tell if you're being serious or if you're just...
About what? Instead of making these broad statements, broad like you should be more specific.
Okay. Oh, God, I'm drawing a blank right now. I was listening earlier on my drive time.
Drawing a blank.
In Phoenix, yeah.
So you're very upset about you don't even know what. So you had to call in and say you're very upset about, well, you forget.
No, I'm not upset. I'm just curious. I think you're awesome. You're a breath of fresh air here in Phoenix with Stern gone and the Zone gone. I love listening to you, but I just can't figure you out yet.
What are you trying to figure out?
Where do you stand? Are you completely men are supreme and women are just...
No, we're equal, and that's why if there's a seat on the bus, whoever gets there first wins.
Is that how it works?
Because we're equal.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that you think that.
Right. And by the way, have you registered for the draft yet?
For the draft?
Because we're equal. I think you should get right on down there and fill out one of those cards.
Wait a minute. I've already served in the U.S. Air Force.
Oh, but you never registered for the draft, did you?
Well, I volunteered. I
understand.
Like 6 years.
Do you expect all your female friends to register for the draft?
Absolutely.
How about your daughter?
Absolutely.
You would expect her to register for the draft?
Absolutely.
So have you campaigned to change the law so that women can register for the draft?
No.
No, of course not. Because you think women are superior and therefore should be exempt from the draft.
No, I love your honesty and you're really funny and you make me laugh. So I'm just trying to get to know you a little bit better.
All right, now you do, dear.
1-800-5800-TOM.
I wouldn't go for a guy just because he had money because, he might be a jerk.
You would if you were a 9 or a 10.
Why? Because the more beautiful you are, the stupider you are?
Bingo.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. Karen, hello.
Hello?
Is that a question or a statement?
More like a statement, Tom. Mr. Tom Leykis, I never tune into your show. I was actually flipping to a more appropriate radio station.
Oh, more appropriate, yes.
More appropriate, more human-like. But I just thought I'd let you know that I tuned in right around the Pompa Room BS that you were preaching, and I thought I'd let you know that I can't believe you would preach something like that to your boys.
Like what, exactly?
That you're telling them basically to hit it, to tap ass and go to the next.
Hit it and quit it? Oh, absolutely. That's what guys do anyway.
Regardless, you as a father figure shouldn't even be telling them that. They could figure that out themselves. You're a poor...
All I'm simply doing is endorsing what the listeners already believed here.
Excuse me?
I'm simply endorsing what the male listeners already do and believe.
I'm sorry, but where were you raised?
The United States of America.
No guy has ever said that. First of all, I don't even expect a guy to buy me dinner. I have my own money to buy my own goddamn dinner.
Well, usually less than attractive women do say that.
Oh, well, obviously they have missing that they would do with a man like you. I mean, honestly, who the hell hooks up with you?
Ooh, you'd be amazed who hooks up with me, dear.
You know what? That's a poor excuse for a woman, too. I guess you guys fit perfectly, like 2 peas in a pod. I mean,
there you go. Well, you're really cutting. You're really telling me off.
I wasn't actually, I didn't really want to waste my breath, but I thought you were such an ass.
Really? But guess what? You've been listening all this time. You've been on hold for over 5 minutes to get on the air. You've been talking to me for 2 minutes, and you were listening before that.
I was actually listening for like 5 minutes.
That's okay. All we need is 15 minutes, and we get credit for you. Who cares?
All right.
You don't like it. We got you to stay tuned, and that is my job.
Well, that's great. So you're basically feeding the world BS, and they're all going.
I'm not feeding the world BS. Everything. What BS? Just because I give an opinion you don't agree with, it's BS.
And of course it is.
No.
That's not what life is about.
Not BS at all.
That is not what.
Tap that ass, boys. Hit it and quit it. Bang it and clang it. Pump it and dump it.
That's great. A lot of girls do the same thing, but you don't hear women turning around and saying, "I'm feeding people your crap." I mean, come on.
You don't hear any women with ratings on the radio.
You don't have self-respect, and so you need to...
Oh, no, I've got plenty of self-respect. That's why I would never give up my seat to the likes of you, nor would I want to hit it and quit it with you. That big fat ass of yours, that big fat pork chop ass, no way.
The Tom Leykis Show.